Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Coach's Corner. Today, we have a really great topic that we want to discuss with you. It is called How to Create a Client and Family Experience That Sets You Apart. But before we dive into this, let me introduce two lovely ladies that are joining me. We have Jennifer Axelrod, who's another franchise business coach. And we have Tiffany Dutcher, who's also another business franchise coach with a place at home. So we're super excited to dive into this topic. Ladies, are you ready?
Ready.
All right. So let's talk just off the cuff here a little bit before we get into some points that we've kind of gone over. Just high level, why do you think it's so important to have that client and family experience that sets you apart from everybody else out there?
Who wants to start? You got to direct us.
I can jump in. Home care services, a lot of them look a lot alike across different companies. So what are those things that we're going to do extra to place at home as a whole? And it starts at the top with us and coaching our franchises from top down. And I recently came across something that I posted about. It's that wow experience. So, maybe even once a week, just creating a wow moment for your clients and their families to remember. And that wow moment, I think, then bleeds into the rest of your care, and creates that excitement in that culture within your office that then bleeds down to your staff and other family members you're talking to. But I do think it's just trying to think outside the box and creating lasting memories and having them talk about the good things that we're doing instead of hearing complaints, which is, what people are typically going to speak about if they have something to say. So giving them the good things to talk about by going above and beyond.
Yep, that's for sure. Jennifer, how about you?
Yeah, when it comes to customer experience, I think that's just so important. It's a very saturated market. In some markets, you walk out the door and you bump into 6 different agencies. How do we stand apart? That's the most important thing. And you know what? It's what we're selling. We are selling something that's that has compassion with it. That is, human beings are trusting us with their loved ones. We have to go the extra mile to make sure that they trust us and we can deliver what we promise. And so when it comes to that, it comes right from the beginning. The beginning touch point is the intake. And that intake gives us that opportunity to start learning who that customer can be and who we're serving. And then we have to also look at all the people involved. I know sometimes this business looks like just a sales business, and it really isn't. What we're selling is not just bodies in a home to provide tasks and clear shifts. We are providing a professional solution in the aging process. And what we have to deliver is consistency, dependability, trust, and compassion. And we have to train our caregivers to do the same. That will leave a lasting impression.
Wow, Jennifer, you nailed it. The key word there is trust. And I think one of the first point I want to really hit home here is creating and maintaining a consistent process. Process is so important, right? And so talk a little bit about what does that process look like, Tiffany, to have that consistency within that?
So, I think one of the things that we should do as an agency, and I know a lot of our owners are currently doing, is that warm handoff when we have a new caregiver show up to a shift. So it's not just, have an open shift, Mary needs off for the next 3 days and just filling that shift and sending somebody there. It's going above and beyond and picking up the phone and calling the clients and telling them about Mary. How long she's been with us and making them feel like they know her before she walks in the door. But not only that, creating a system where you are, if you can, doing that warm handoff. I can't imagine some stranger just walking in my door saying, hey, I'm here to take care of you. That wouldn't feel good. Why would we do that to our seniors? And why would we do that to our, loved ones? So I think having that warm handoff is huge And when we talk to referral sources about it, when I'm out there doing sales, I see their eyes light up because, our industry is known as just burn and turn, get something staffed, have a warm body there, making sure that they're following the plan of care. That extra mile goes such a long way. So I think that's one process we can put in place. And I know a lot of our owners do that. And I love to see that happen and hear that that's what they're doing for our clients.
Jennifer, you mentioned
Yeah.
trust.
Mhm.
And I know that consistency matters within the client experience. You create that trust, that reliability. Really, to Tiffany's point, you're managing the expectations. There's a consistency that's going on there that you're managing there. And again, you're improving the processes as you're, even like Tiffany was talking about that warm handoff. There's an improvement that can be done in that. Where we look at it from the outside and we can see some of the things that we can change, the efficiency of that model. And then again, to both your points on enhancing the communication. Jennifer, dive into that a little bit. Why is it so important to have consistency in this?
Oh my God, people are trusting you. You have to start with clear expectations, clear communication, and even to go into another important process where we can improve is the assessment itself. You're going into someone's home that may not be ready to hear what you need to say and be able to accept that they're in this place. So you're going the extra mile by bringing a cup of coffee, or that something that you've actually learned from the assessment that you did on the phone goes a long way. Coming in and looking at their home and giving them compliments on their home and just not rushing to the table to do the signing. Doing a thorough assessment to make sure that you cover all barriers for safety and assurance. That goes a long way. And obviously, one more thing is include the senior in the discussion. Don't make it like they're in another room and they're not part of this. They are part of it. And it's now we're in a position where we can talk to, let's say, the adult children, but you can't forget about the senior that's going to be the client, who doesn't matter who's paying. And that goes back to communication, because everybody has to be on the same page on their goals, what they want, what they see, what they expect. And if we can get those aligned before we step foot and do the care, we're going to set ourselves up for success and not failure.
Tiffany, would you agree that the investment process of this into our staff and empowering our teams, do you think that's a vital key that we need to have for consistency?
Yeah, and that goes into training, and not just training them on how to wash their hands properly or do a proper transfer. Sometimes it's going back to the basics and talking about human relationships and, putting people first along with their needs. So, even if it's a 1 hour visit, which I know we don't do, I did at my old agency, I'm glad we're not, but during that 1 hour, even though you're there for one task, there's so much that can be done in regards to getting them talking, giving them a good experience for that 1 hour and leaving them feeling good the rest of the day. As far as like going in for, like she said, the assessment, sometimes letting the senior sit down and show you a photo album for a minute. You can get to know a lot about them that will help you create a good plan of care that's not just task specific. It's also, putting things on there like taking them to go play poker, just, whatever it is that they like to do that can be built into that plan of care that maybe the family's not thinking about. Us as the experts need to create room for us to do those extra things that don't just look like a typical plan of care that a lot of agencies are writing.
That is so true. I think creating and maintaining those consistent processes is essential for delivering such a client and family experience. And that's what's going to set you apart. You've got some really big agencies out there that have been around for 20, 30 years. And you've got agencies like ours that have been around for 13 years. And so you're wanting to build yourself a presence there, an experience within the family with the client that really defines clearly, it sets you apart in those touch points. Jennifer, that you were mentioning there, Tiffany, you're kind of talking about the standardization of some of those procedures, the training, communication is such a big thing. And one of the things that we're going to get into a little bit later in this conversation is technology. Technology is going to be a central key into this. But let's go on to the second point here, engaging family members in this process. I mean, that is a major expectation, at least for me. I know it's for you ladies and a lot of our owners out there. So how do you see the importance of engaging the families, bringing them into this process, and how does that look like? What does that look like for you ladies?
Okay, I can start. It goes back to what we're delivering. We're delivering an outcome of quality of life. So if we can kind of go to the high level of what we're doing, they will get more aligned and probably more bought in. So a lot of times in home care, the cost is something that comes up right away. We know this is not a cheap service, but does your loved one deserve the best? Absolutely. So how do you get the entire family aligned? Sometimes you have difficulty. Sometimes there's dynamics that you have to mediate. But I think it all goes back to the outcomes we can deliver. And I always love this, if not now, then when? Or can you afford not doing this now? What is the consequence of that? And look, we all want our aging seniors to have the best last whatever decades or days, months, years of their lives. How can we deliver that? Well, we can deliver a consistent service so they're not alone, that we can address non-skilled care to give them best of their independence. We don't want to just provide sitting service. We are not a sitting service at all. Mm-hmm. I love when a client will say, I love my caregiver, they're part of my family. That's what I would want. So it's that empathy piece too. Yep. And I think we have to do a good job with our caregivers to put them in the position of being the client in the bed. Let's say that they can't get up. Well, what does that actually mean? What does that feel like when people are making decisions without you, or walking around, or doing things you used to do on your own? I mean, we have to be really careful and train and pick the right caregivers. And I mean, there's so many dynamics, but it always goes back to consistent service. And one thing consistent is backup service. And I know that would be so important to my family, to have that. And not everybody can at the beginning when they start out. And that is a reality. And that's when they kind of step in the role as caregiver themselves, which is not the greatest, but it definitely shows that they will do that extra mile. Again, that shows care, which is what we're all about. But to have backup service and backup care, and know that if there's someone doesn't show up, that you are going to make sure that that person is not left without care.
Tiffany, why does family engagement matter so much in that client experience?
Well, so I think that, a lot of times the family are the decision makers, and they're the ones who have brought us in. They're the ones who have identified the need for their loved one to, have this care. So it's understanding the family dynamic, what's important to them. It's a little bit different for every family. And sometimes, 2 or 3 different siblings have 2 or 3 different expectations. Me being an only child, the only expectation is mine. Lucky my parents. But, when you have different family dynamics, now you're looking at, for Sue is the health and the outcomes most important. And then for Betty, is it that, mom's engaging and being socialized, to really understanding what they need to hear and see from us to make them feel good about the care we're providing. And, the other thing that I've been thinking about is wins. So we should be doing touch points every other week with at least one family member, going to those caregivers and saying, what win have we had with this client in the last 2 weeks? I know I'm looking at your notes. I know I'm looking at the progress notes. I see that, things are looking good, but give me one big moment that was a win that I can share with the family member. Then you're celebrating the client and the care we're providing, but you're also celebrating the caregiver and how they helped with that win for the client. So it's a buy-in all around. That to me is easy, quick, and you're also then talking to the caregivers too, and we're all in the loop.
Yeah. Engaging family members in this client experience is truly fundamental. It's what's going to set us apart. And I just kind of like bullet pointed a couple of things here while you guys were talking, but asking the right questions, fostering that open communication within the family. And Tiffany, to your point, when you got multiple family members, open dialogue, open communication, involving the families in the care decision. Tiffany, I know you're the only child, but I've got 3 other siblings, and we have to engage in those conversations. And and again, having everyone to the table to involved in that, and then offering ongoing support and education. Like, what does this look like in the future care of this client or their family or loved one? And again, we're going to come to this later in the discussion, but leveraging technology. And because it truly becomes a collaborative and a personalized experience there. Let's go on to number 3 here. My third point is creating consistent care teams. I know we kind of talked a little bit about this. Jennifer, why would we want to create a care team?
Again, it goes to how we can be different. You're not just one person. And I was going to bring this up before, but it's really important to have a key point of contact for the family. And so as you get bigger, you might have teams and this person and maybe even a receptionist, but you really have to have a key contact person when something comes up. And as you get bigger, maybe that's an RN on the team that can be on call to answer any of the high medical needs that come up. Because let's face it, not every home care owner has a medical background. Most don't, but they may have a caregiver background, which is good, or they've been a family caregiver. And I think that that's amazing when they have that experience and they understand what this family is going through. I love a full team. Like, obviously you can't do that at the beginning, but you want a care management team, especially when it comes to round the clock care, because that's more like VIP service. Mm-hmm. And you can't make mistakes at that level. Yeah. Someone needs you 24/7 around the clock. And you got to have a team of caregivers. You got to have a lead caregiver that can make sure everything runs smoothly through shifts. And if there is a no-show, well, there better be a replacement, because this person can't be left alone.
Yeah, you're correct there. There's a central theme here through all of this is trust. And, communication is another big theme there. Tiffany, kind of expand a little bit about this. Why is consistent care teams matter?
Well, so, we're creatures of habit. We like things, to look the same. We don't like surprises. Change at any stage of life is hard, especially for seniors and for children. I've always heard twice a child, once an adult. So you kind of go back to the mentality. When you're a baby, you want mom, you want mom, you want mom. When you're a senior, you want the same caregiver. You want to see the same face. There's a comfort level that comes with that. And I kind of want to go back to what Jennifer said about, consistency in a care team. I always had a lead caregiver on my 24/7 clients. I thought it was super beneficial, but I've been exploring with some of my owners now, any client that has 70 plus hours, having a care lead. And that just means that there's more than one caregiver, because obviously there'd be overtime if you had one caregiver doing 70 hours. But now you have somebody owning the care that's reporting to the office. Then you're also creating a way for caregivers to kind of move up in your company as well. So, there's secondary benefit to it as well. But I think having somebody own the client care, making sure everything's good, creates another level of continuity and quality is the word I'm looking for. Another level of quality aside from the office managing the quality of care from a management standpoint.
Yeah, I love that. Creating consistent care teams is one of the most powerful ways to enhance the client and the family experience. It sets us apart from everybody out there. And by hiring the right people, and we've talked a lot about that, maintaining stable team structure, because we know there's burnout that happens there. And then again, using technology to streamline care delivery and fostering those strong relationships within the families. Those are going to be the key things that are going to separate us out there from all the other competition out there. And it comes down to just being consistent day in and day out, client to client, family to family, when we go to do this. And obviously we don't have all the time to do this, to get into the how. I just want to encourage everyone that's out there watching this, and you have questions about how do you do this, reach out to one of us and we can walk you through on the elements of how to do this. Let's talk about how do we involve the office in building that client relationship. So key here. I'm going to start with you, Tiffany. How do we do this? Why would we want to involve our team, our internal office team, in building that client relationship?
So I think it's gonna somewhat depend on the size of the office and the structure, but yes, having that buy-in from the office staff. So I heard this when I was younger, and I forget where it was at, but a lot of times a principal would be pulled back into the teacher position every 10 years to remember what the teacher was doing and see what they're seeing. So, building in that with your office staff, and it doesn't necessarily mean putting them on a shift to take care, but, giving them maybe one day a month where we are getting them back involved in the houses, going to look and see what's happening in there, creates a level of trust, but also reminds them what it is that they're managing and, why they're connecting the right caregivers with the right clients. When maybe a adult child calls upset, what are some of the things that could be happening out there? They're seeing it in real time by getting back out there every once in a while in the mix. And I think as owners, we're like, oh my gosh, we're not going to have a staff member for, one day. How are we going to operate? You make it happen and you put things in place to manage that one day. So we're keeping them involved and they're remembering and seeing and celebrating what it is we're actually doing outside of being behind the computer and sticking things in a schedule or, making sure that we're compliant with employee files.
Yeah, Jennifer, we're in the service-based industry, and we're providing a specific service to those clients. And a lot of it centers around our frontline caregivers. This is a people serving people industry. But I really think that one of the most unappreciated members of this is our office staff. So Jennifer, how would we involve them into this to create that experience for the family and for our office staff?
I think it goes right back to the onboarding of office staff. You want them part of the team. You want them part of the brand. And, for us, we're a franchise. So that's really important. They feel more purposeful. They feel more included. I was going to take a different spin with this and like birthdays and give, client calls and wish them a happy birthday or drop off packages around the holidays. Just come and talk to them. Call them up. Your office is an extension of you. So you have to bring your office into the service you provide. It's how you grow and how you scale and how you get more trust.
There's a lot of engagement that's there, and you're creating this culture. You're not, I think, caregivers are always our front line. They're the tip of the spear. They're engaging with our clients out there. And we put so much emphasis into our caregivers. They represent the brand. And as we're onboarding our internal staff, and they were recruiters or retention of those caregivers, they're doing the schedules, to have that buy-in of our culture, the buy-in of having them engage with families and talk about the care that's going on or something happened during, the shift. And now you have that community, right? You have community buy-in of not just the staff members and the caregivers. You got family now that's involved in it. And it really becomes, you've created something that is very impactful and empowering. And, each position within an office is very important and very empowering. And if you bring them in to that community, you've empowered that staff member now to more of a bigger buy-in. Would you agree?
Absolutely, but I can also take it from a business standpoint. It's a sales culture you're building too, because
Yeah.
I truly believe everybody's in sales, whether you're the receptionist, the caregiver, the client. We're all going to, buy into this service, this brand, this care, and you can get definitely more business from it and longer retention with your staff if you bring them into the bigger picture.
Yeah, I agree. Tiffany, you got anything you want to add to this before we jump on the next point?
No, I think we can jump on to the next.
So let's talk about cultural sensitivity and respect for traditions. This is one of my big topics. I love talking about this. Let's start with you, Tiffany. Why is it important to create that client family experience that sets you apart by cultivating the cultural sensitivity and respect for traditions?
Yeah, so I think, like I said so many times, we are in a fast lane trying to get things staffed, just trying to, follow the basic plan of care, and we're not thinking bigger picture. So once again, just like I said, it's understanding family dynamics. Now it's understanding the cultural dynamics. And now not only are we looking at that, we're training our caregivers and making them more dynamic, whether it's specifically for this client or it's wherever they end up going. So now we're, enhancing training as well. And we're investing into our caregivers. A lot of them are from other cultures. It's also sometimes understanding their cultures too, and investing in understanding where they come from. So I think culture is a big overall thing that we should be looking at, but not only understanding our clients, but also understanding a lot of our caregivers.
Jennifer, in today's diverse, globalized world, this cultural sensitivity and respect for traditions are not just an ethical considerations. They are essential to delivering the exceptional client and family experience. Clients and families come from a variety of cultural, religious, and ethical backgrounds, each with their own unique needs, expectations, and values. Jennifer, why is this so important for the experience?
Well, if you can respect their cultural background, their lifestyle, the time they eat, special festivities, and the caregiver joins into that, that's just strengthening the bond between the family, the caregiver, and the client. I am Jewish, so I mean that's one that kind of comes up with kosher. And it's not just understanding what kosher is, it's respecting and cooking kosher that a Jewish family would like. And then the same thing about taking off your shoes, a simple act like that. If you don't respect it, you lose value with the family right away. So it's that education piece. I'm going to go back to what Tiffany says. It's our job to educate our caregivers to these cultural needs and preferences, and it will only grow the bond stronger and then the trust level with the agency.
Yeah. There's, when an organization fosters this type of culture of, competency and makes a deliberate effort to honor our clients and the ethnical backgrounds that they're in, their traditions, and we create that value. And again, one of the central themes that's been part of this conversation is trust. We create that trust within them. Now, we've got to go back, and you both have alluded to this, is training someone into that level of, maybe it's cooking, maybe it's how mannerism inside of the home, something simple as taking the shoes off. And, as I had when my kids were young and they were growing up, just to get them to take their shoes off before coming in the house, that was a major feat if I could accomplish that. But to show that level of respect of going into a home, and that is something, and it's not necessarily taking shoes off as much as we're looking at the value that brings. And that creates such a lasting impression between us and that client and the family members that we have educated our core team, the caregivers, our internal staff members, the way that they connect with them, the way that and so we become inclusive to who they are, right? And we now build upon that approach, not only sets us our service apart in the marketplace, because we all can think of those competition out there, and where they're just so quick to put someone in there and they forget about it might be an ethnical group there that we need to look a little bit deeper and have a little bit more respect of how we're marrying a caregiver up with those clients. But we're building that trust. We become that, and one of you has said this, an empathetic provider that understand, and we are prioritizing the well-being of that client.
Well, and I think we can take it a step further and, from the office, from the owner, start celebrating other cultures. So not just train, not just send out a video, this is what you do, X, Y, and Z, and you take your shoes off. Well, then we're just telling, people steps. Let's take it a step further and let's celebrate these things. Let's create that culture. Let's show them we're excited to teach you about this. This is fun. Learning about other cultures is a good thing, instead of it's just something else you have to learn and check off.
Yeah.
So I think it's the way we approach that too.
Yeah.
But it's even respecting their schedule. So we know that there's some religions that pray 4 times a day. Well, then you don't schedule tasks in that time. That's the disrespect. So that would be already a bad taste if the caregiver and the agency agreed to a care plan like that. So it's about having that extra compassion.
I love it. I've been a part of a lot of traditions and events across different spectrums, and there are different holidays, and to be a part of that, for me, it's an educational experience and a personal experience to see and experience that from them, and then to get feedback, because I love feedback. I love it when family calls or caregivers call, and they're so involved in that personal relationship with the family, the traditions that are happening, and it just really embeds you. I know a lot. We've heard this a lot from our caregivers. They'll say, "I feel like I'm part of family here. I feel like it's not even a job. I'm getting paid for this. This is crazy, and that separates us apart, and we become so more engaging out there with the families. And then they see us more than just a subject matter expert. They see us more than just a place at home. They now see us as people that have earned, and we respect them. They respect us. We built this level of trust, and it's not superficial. It's long lasting. It's something that we're going to take beyond just the shift itself. We want to be beyond that and provide the services beyond that. I think that's, when we go to create the family client experiences, that stands out, requires us to just do more than just high quality care. It requires a deep commitment to understanding and respecting the cultural diversity of our clients. By fostering those cultural sensitivity and respect for traditions, you're not only providing more personalized and effective and compassionate care, but also creating an environment where clients and families feel valued, heard, and understood. And as a cultural competence becomes the cornerstone of our service and a bedrock within our communities, we got a variety of owners from different cultural and ethnic backgrounds. You separate yourself from the organization and others in the industry by creating this reputation. And I love the brand. I love what we represent. And I know you ladies work with owners out there from a diverse background. And I will, I was just thinking before we came on, love to have some of those owners come on to share some of that feedback of what they get from the community and their background and what that means to them really as it represents the brand.
And what I just heard you say, Shane, was making sure that the relationship never becomes transactional.
Yep.
Because if you take that empathy away, if you take that understanding away, it so easily can become transactional. I've seen offices do it before.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And if we look at like the boomers that we're taking care of now, or the late boomers, not the ones that are on the cuff, that's really important to them still. Religion, culture, all that kind of stuff. Who knows years from now if that will repeat for millennials and Gen Z, but for them, it's so important. So just to honor their traditions is going to mean so much at the end of their lives. We have to do that for them, I think.
Yeah, you get so much that goes on in the competition of the marketplace. And little things like this is what separates us out apart, before we get into our last part, but when you start involving your care teams, you involve your office teams, you involve really the families into the experience itself, you now have this, and I have to go back to this and keep saying this, but it's a community built on trust. You've got consistency that's going on there. You continue to create educational pieces that not only just for family members, so they understand maybe the disease or what the journey of life they're in. I became an end of life doula, and I wanted to be able to offer that to my clients when I was an owner and to their family members. That was so important because it became such an educational piece. And then not only did I empower them, I helped my staff understand what they're going through when they're in hospice. Maybe they're in their final days or final hours. And if we can train our caregivers to understand that level of scope during those last times, a lot of our caregivers, and I've talked to an owner just recently where one of their caregivers watched one of their clients pass. That was the very first time that they experienced death. And how important would it be for us to come alongside of our caregivers, our office staff before then, and walk them through what that journey is going to look like, and holding their hands, giving them a hug because they just experienced the end of life, and now it's is the service over? No, it's like we're an extension now to that family. We're bringing everything together during that time of loss. And again, it comes back to separating ourselves from everybody else. And I love what Tiffany, you just said. It's not that ongoing, like this is what we do every single day. This is like we're punching the clock and this is our task that we do for the day. We've got to separate ourselves out from everybody else. And I think just those little things is what's going to create an experience that's above everybody else out there. And I'm not trying to say that any other agency out there is a bad agency, but we want to be the best agency. We want to be the greatest agency out there. And little things like this are going to separate us out. This last topic, this last little bullet item, this is going to be something I want to take some time and really go through. And it's kind of a hot topic. It's good, bad, or indifferent. But we're going to get into it. And in today's digital age, integrating AI into the client experience is no longer just a luxury. It's a competitive necessity. For businesses that serve clients and families, particularly in industries like ours, AI offers a powerful opportunity to streamline processes, personalize experiences, and deliver consistency, high-end quality services at scale. By utilizing AI tools to create and maintain a consistent process through the client journey, businesses, agencies like ours, can offer tailored services, enhance communication, and anticipate needs, which can significantly improve client satisfaction and family engagement. AI helps remove the friction between the service delivery and gives both clients and staff the tools that they need to succeed, creating a seamless experience that feels both personalized and efficient. All right, so we're going to dive into this. Why AI enhances the client and family experiences by ensuring consistency. So ladies, let's start with you, Tiffany. What are some of those things? Why do you feel it's important to have AI involved in this?
And what level of AI are we talking about, Shane? Are you thinking AI within the home?
Yeah, we're talking about the level of the care experience within the family. How do we separate what we're doing? Could be in the home. It could be those tasks. It could be from the office perspective. How does AI bring a bigger value to this?
So, I mean, there's a lot of different AI coming out now. And I was just thinking back earlier to 10 years ago when I owned my agency, we didn't have all this technology. We were still doing paper timesheets and notes. I mean, I know we're not going back that far, but man, technology and even now AI on top of that has really enhanced, the patient focus. It's taken some time off of our hands, eternally in the office. But also, it can be used for our caregivers out there. There's some things we're not allowed to do that are out of our scope that maybe AI can come in and monitor for us, and be a part of our care team to, bridge the gap of, some of what we're not allowed to do under certain state regulations. And then I also think AI can help, people age in their homes longer. So while maybe families cannot afford us 24/7, maybe they need, some type of AI, and there's things coming out that are out of this world that I can't wait to start testing. They can have us in there during the day, have this AI in there at night that is, reporting, that's a part of the care team that helps them, stay in their home longer. I think I just read something that says there's over 800,000 seniors in assisted livings right now. I sometimes feel like a gap in between when you should actually go and when you have to go because you can't quite afford to stay at home. So I think this AI might help bridge that gap where home care can come in there alongside it. Now, what does it look like? What is this AI capable of? I'm still learning. I'm hearing things. I can't necessarily speak on it, but I do know there are things that are coming out that are going to be able to be a part of the care team with us. Is that kind of answer what you're asking, Shane?
Yeah. Jennifer, what's your thoughts?
I say efficiency. AI brings efficiency to the agency, gets rid of paperwork, and gives us an insight to be proactive instead of reactive when it comes to a health condition that's going to change. And I think that is our biggest win, our biggest privilege with our technology today, is that it can alert us so that we can be proactive, preventative, prevent hospitalizations, prevent rehospitalizations, bring in partners like a home health to do skilled to avoid a hospitalization because a technology is saying something's wrong. And another way is when people when they commit to home care in a certain amount of hours, they usually do it too late. They probably should have done it sooner, and they probably don't have enough hours that they need. And so if the caregiver is going to show up at 8, but there's trouble before that, AI can be those eyes and ears for us to increase the hours, to increase the outcome, to increase the quality of life.
I think, Tiffany, you said the automation of routine tasks. That's, if AI can benefit in that, and Jennifer, to your point also, we get rid of that paper trail, and we create an efficient system that takes us from the dark ages to modern age. I know us three were on a call with a vendor just the other day that was talking about the technology of Alexa and some of the sensories that are within the home that can pick up, if a client were to fall, how many times they may be using the restroom. Is there a possible, is there something else going on there? And they can call out, and so, to both your points, if we're unable to have a caregiver there because of cost 24/7, AI then can create some of those real data points, those analysts that are going in, and then it goes back, and even AI can go one step further. I was having a conversation with an owner yesterday. We were talking about how AI is going to now go leap years into the technology field of nursing. They're going to re-script the whole care plan. You can, I know with the agency I was with before, they're going to a care platform, and all of that is the Uberization of the home care model. Whether we like it or not, technology is driving that, and a lot of what our caregivers do on scheduling can be done through AI. Or not caregivers, but our care team inside, and we can use that person now for more face-to-face interaction, building within the marketing teams. I know both you ladies are dynamic at marketing, and getting out there and that face. I don't think AI can ever 100% replace what we do in this people serving people business.
No, and I want to clarify, Shane. I don't think it should ever automate the task of our caregivers ever. When I say automate some things, like in Texas, you can't monitor blood pressure because then the caregiver has to know what to do if the blood pressure goes up. So, I'm talking about maybe automating some of those things that we're not allowed to touch in conjunction to what our caregivers are doing. I never want a robot in there helping my mom get up from her chair to go to the bathroom ever. That's very cold and sterile. So I just wanted to make sure I was clear on what I meant by assisting us.
I know what you meant. Yeah. You're basically what you're talking about is the schedule, the reminders, the data entry, some of the main the stuff that's not glorious, and data entry and stuff like that. AI can do all that stuff. I love the data that can be pulled from AI when you're working with the client inside the home. A big thing, we've been talking a lot about this, is enhancing communication. We've got a lot of recruiting tools that use chatbot and the virtual assistants in there. I'm a big fan of that. The scheduling aspect of it, I was just sharing with Dustin. I love that AI even set my schedule with the owners out there. And but think of it from that perspective. Like we are, the consistency, like you said, the consistency of delivering service. One of the primary challenges in this industry is delivering consistent caregiving. Right, we've got too much turnover in the caregiver industry, and so we have to ensure consistency. And I believe that AI can help businesses track that level aspect to deliver that service delivery. So care plans, AI can help in the care plan. I know in some states like Georgia and Florida and Louisiana and others that have to have a nurse oversight, there's a lot more structure to that, but you can do the appointments, you can do schedules. Really think of where geriatric manager was, say, 10 years ago. AI now can set those doctor's appointments, set a nurse to go in and do whatever needs to be done at home, schedule a caregiver to go in the home. I don't think we'll ever get to a place where, if you remember the movie I, Robot, where there was a robot that was in the home taking care of
Right. Right.
I was at a convention this past April, and I remember they were talking about, hey, the next step of care is going to be a robot, and I had to take a deep breath because I was like, we can never replace the human touch, that human factor that's there, but AI can help in the background. We work with owners that just start right out of the gate, brand new, their head is on a swivel, they're trying to get everything going, and think of it, if we could have AI come alongside of them and help them, I think it would be powerful and become this really big asset that's there. And then it becomes this really big proactive client support, predictive analytics of what could happen, the model that could be presented. And AI is presenting you several different factors of outcome that could happen here. And so we can detect the possibility of client's health declining. If we were to do these steps, maybe the client rebounds and gets better. We involve doctors, maybe it's PT, OT, whatever needs to be involved. And now we are proactively, through AI, we are now addressing those concerns within, and it creates this overall reliable experience,
Absolutely.
Home care.
It's funny, Shane, that you talk about, technology within the office efficiencies too. I think when I used to coach owners 5 years ago in another system, it'd be like, okay, at what point and how much can you spend on office staff so you can then also create a salary that you need for yourself after year one? What I just had a conversation was about, maybe we figure out how much we can spend towards support AI systems, instead of creating that first role, what can we do and how much can we put towards A, B, and C, AI technology systems that support you so you can get to where you need to as an owner to support your family. So I think it's weird. as opposed to saying, when is our first hire?
What is, you know what?
We're going to bring
What
in?
we can do that a human doesn't need to do anymore, I think we need to do it. I think it's very important for home care businesses to be able to focus on business development, and they need to have that freed up time. And if they are doing stuff that, you know, literally is an employee's job, not an owner, they shouldn't be doing that, at least not for a long time. They need to move forward. And AI gives us that jump pretty fast. We've seen it in recruitment. We've seen it in chat boxes, and we can have chat boxes that are human. They don't need to be an actual bot, and they're already qualifying referrals and leads while we sleep. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, from a business standpoint, it's huge. It's anything that can save time.
Oh yeah. You know, the one of the points I wanted to make here is it enhances the consistency in the service delivery by AI driven quality control.
Mm-hmm.
So care compliance in a lot of states, you've got to meet a certain demand. There's got to be oversight of a nurse manager. Those things will never go away. But if AI is involved, I was talking with someone the other day, and we were talking about how just meeting the different changes that happen. And, we use WellSky, and within WellSky, we have a change of quality of care or a change in care, and we can document that. Well, what if AI is inside the home and now it's reading the different changes that are happening? If WellSky added the AI piece, it could dictate what is the next step that we need to do in the care of that home. Servicing auditing is another thing. To look at, we're auditing our files, we're auditing the way we provide service, we're auditing our care teams. How do we become more proficient? How do we excel in the experience itself? AI can provide that. I know the last organization that I was with, one of the things they're going quickly to market with is the Uberization of the home care with the caregiver experience. And so think of it as, and I'm not putting this down at all, because I believe that this is where it's driving to, but think of if a caregiver, just like Uber and just like DoorDash, and you have your phone and you get on your app and you can say, oh, I have these clients that I'm going to be servicing and I'm going to go to, and you go do, and the feedback families can give you gives you more of an analytics for the caregiver performance, So if I'm a family member and my father has got care and I'm looking to step that up, and I'm going to choose the right caregiver that's going to work with my dad. And now I've got the AI experience that just went on the backside of that to say, hey, here's a caregiver that has, over 1,000 reviews, and he has been with, 100 different clients, and his experience, and you see the different levels of competency that caregiver has gone through, training, Alzheimer's, dementia, they've got certifications, and they have taken the level where they want to rise on there. And I think AI can give us that level of there. Anything else you want to add to AI?
No, I'm just ready for it to catch up with sales too, being sales minded. I just want a little AI fairy in my pocket, following me around, organizing all my sales calls afterwards, creating the follow-up. I don't know when that time will catch up, but I'm ready for it. I'm here for it. Whoever's out there listening, create it for us.
I just want to go back to the communication piece again, because I don't think everybody utilizes the family room in WellSky, and I think it's brilliant. I think that is transparency, that is communication, that is pictures, knowing that your loved one is doing well. Yes, HIPAA compliant, but at least it kind of reminds me of my daycare world and how important that was from a mother's standpoint to know that their child was doing well, that there was reports on how they were doing, how their tasks and all that kind of stuff. And I think at this stage of life, I think that really helps as well to have that peace of mind. And again, that consistent delivery of service, and you have access to it during the day. You have access to the care plans. You have access to your invoices. That is that continuum relationship between the client, the agency, and the patient.
Yeah.
And the family. I love
totally,
that.
Really agree with you. Integrating AI into operations is a game changer. It enables your ability to streamline processes, automate routines, personalized communication, to Jennifer, to your point there, proactively addressing client needs, whether it's through automated scheduling, real-time feedback, predictive analytics. I love analytics. I love digging into the why, and I think numbers and it's like a map, and it just tells you everything. And AI can do all that, creates a seamless, consistent experience for both the client and for the families and for the agency by enhancing the trust, because it goes all the way back to trust again, communication and satisfaction. Moreover, AI's ability to personalize the experience based on real-time data ensures that the client feels valued, understood, and well cared for. And I know if I had AI working with my dad and he's in Iowa and I'm in Florida, and to be able to give us some of those predictive things that are about to come to make decisions, real-time decisions based on that is excellent. We're going to take the next 5 minutes, and I just want some key takeaways from you ladies on kind of summarizing all of this together. Tiffany, I'll start with you.
So I'll work backwards. I think we could talk about how we automate things in our office to create efficiencies. So then we can create a culture within our staff to celebrate the things like different cultures within our clients, making sure we understand it and creating that client experience for not only them and their families, they go beyond just like the transaction. So I think it goes back to what can we put in our office and what AI tech can we use to be way more efficient? So then we're using the humans to do the human touches to create those human relationships to stand out from all the other providers that are in this space with us.
I love it. Jennifer, 2 minutes. What
Again, it's clear, transparent communication is going to be key. If we're going to use like AI and look at data, we have to be consistently looking at that data, sharing that data with the family. We have to have a close net relationship between the caregiver, the client, and the agency that has to stay strong, or we could lose the caregiver, we could lose the client. Retention is really, really important, and delivering a top-notch service based on compassion and education of your caregivers is so, so important. And that's what's going to make us different. And knowing why we're different, going out there into the community is going to help our agencies grow.
I love that word, compassion. Again, we're in this business, and I just love it how here's my takeaway. Consistent, personalized approach enhanced by technology creates an experience that clients and families will remember and return to. Mm-hmm. Making your organization, and this is really for you owners out there that are watching, making your organization the trusted partner in the care and the well-being of that client and those families. Embrace these strategies. Not only meet your clients' expectations, but you will exceed them. And ensuring your services stand out as a beacon of quality, care, and innovation. And I think, we've got the 800 Grill home care agencies that have been around for 30 years, and we've been around for 13 years. It's not about how long you've been in the marketplace. It's about what you are bringing to the marketplace. It comes back. It's the people. It comes back to what is it that we're building within our families, within our care teams, and within our administration. That's really going to separate us out there in the community. So I would, Tiffany and Jennifer, I thank you so much for your time today. Thank you everyone that has joined and has watched us. I just want to encourage everybody, create that client and that family experience that's going to separate you from everybody else there. And again, if you need any help, please reach out to Tiffany and Jennifer and myself, and we would love to come alongside of you and empower you to be the very best out there. So just want to thank everybody, and have yourself a great rest of the week. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.